Hello there everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video. And in today's Tuesday video, Simon did a Q&A session. Now, Crouching Grandpa asked us to post some questions, I believe, yesterday in the Discord. There was quite a lot there, and Simon did cover an awful lot of them. Now, we're not going to watch the entire video today. We're going to focus in on 2 or 3 particular questions themselves, and some little details that he showed in the background, which we will dive into. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And as usual, I will post the link to the Fateless video in its entirety in a pinned comment down below, so you can go watch it in full without me splitting it up or talking over the top. So right off the bat, I just want to appreciate the new background environments behind. Clearly they have been hard at work behind the scenes, getting all this done, and it looks super, super sweet. Love it. Now, Simon does also premise in the video that whilst he might not be able to answer everything, he will try and answer as much as he can. And, you know, that's a given, to be honest. But some people still don't understand that, so he's had to put that out there. Anyway.
Give you guys as good an info package as I can. So the first question, which I thought would be on here, is when do we know if we're picked for beta? And there's a bunch of other questions around beta, right? So when's it going to happen? How many people are going to play? All that type of stuff. So I guess, firstly, there is going to be a deep dive answer to this question on the podcast, which is coming this Thursday. We have Ash on the podcast with myself, Sham, and Brad Chosen. And basically, we talk about the beta at length and how some things are actually changing for what we originally planned for the beta. So, yeah, definitely going to be a really deep dive answer to that question. And so what I can tell you right now is we've made some changes to our plan for the beta, and what that looks like is
also, again, appreciation for the new Olympus background. I think that looks wicked as well.
Rather than we're going to throw you into a world which is half finished and give you some of the story but not all of the story and kind of let you play through some of that stuff, we're actually going to have a different experience which we're crafting right now, which is going to be more in tune with I guess a challenge and a fun challenge at that, with the ability to win some really cool stuff. So that's changing. It does mean that our date is going back. Our date was going to go back anyway. We've had a senior leadership meeting around this, and basically we would not have had enough of the visual effects done and polished by the time that we set. So I guess it's a watch this space in terms of time, more likely to be the very end of June, early July. And in terms of how do we know if we're picked, back to the original question, basically you will be emailed to let you know which wave of the beta you are in, alpha, beta, whatever you want to call it, you are in. And that will come through via email. We will try and get everybody who has signed up to the beta list into the game in one of the waves that we set up. So, as I say, more details coming on Thursday.
So, just to wrap all that up very quickly, the beta is changing. It's not going to be running through the campaign. It's going to be some sort of challenge, something like that. He didn't really specify, but we will have to find out on Thursday during the podcast with Ash. They are going to try and get everyone that has signed up to the first wave into it, and we will receive an email to let us know what wave we are in. One would presume as well that there'll be timescales as well. So the first wave will be June the 18th or something till the 25th, and the second will be the 25th to the 1st of July, etc., etc. So that will all come through the email that we used to sign up. And then, as he has mentioned, it is sad and unfortunate, but the beta is getting kicked back to the end of June, early July. Now, we know it's probably going to be more like an alpha anyway, and whilst it is disappointing, personally, as I've said all along, I would rather have a kick-ass product than something that's, overly buggy and, you're getting annoyed. You're not really enjoying the experience because of everything that's going on. So, yeah, whilst it is very disappointing for a loss of the community and No doubt you'll get the trolls going, oh, this sucks, you suck, I knew this would happen. Whatever, go away, we don't need you. Yeah, my full support to the Fateless team in getting this done right. Isis looking great here now as well. She's actually holding her staff, where I suppose it was just sort of floating in the T-pose. We saw Izanami a second ago as well. She looks really cool. Let's bring her back. She's looking sweet. Wisdom hero, chaos disruptor perhaps. Yeah, so lots of new people coming in now and looking great.
It says here, in the video with Scratch, it was mentioned there will be 9 factions on release. Any reason behind the changes? Yes. So there are... so we've removed 1 faction. And generally, it's because of other gaming companies in the world doing exactly the same thing, with probably the exception of Smite. So Asvarga faction, which is a shame because the heroes looked so freaking cool. But anyway, the Svarga faction is no longer going to be part of the game. Basically, we have been recommended that we should remove it because it's still such a massively active religion that is, and the gods are still actively worshipped all the time. We don't want to cause any offense. And yeah, so that was the main reason. And although we thought we were doing a good job of depicting them in a really cool way, it doesn't matter. Like, basically, we've been advised that is not the right thing to do. So they've been removed. There's also been some name changes, which is another one of the questions on here. Why have Kajiki and Cyber changed names? Basically, we have got now a new lore writer who is Aaron, who was actually on a podcast recently, and just wanted to have a bit more of a uniform feel for how the names are kind of like depicted, and they're based on, I guess, mythological or cool locations which mean something to that mythology. So a couple of the names have changed, which you'll see in game if you've been keeping your eyes open, which means that things like merch stores and that are going to be updated as well. Okay, well,
so that was actually the questions that I asked. Didn't necessarily expect to get a response, but we have. So the cat's out the bag. Varga is not going to be in the game, which makes total sense. A brand new studio, the last thing you want to do is insult half the world. So whilst it is disappointing, ultimately it's probably a very smart decision for them. Name changes just simply down to lore by the sounds of it. That's why they haven't appeared on the merch store. Now, I did actually talk about it in part 2 of my CC Leaks, which is coming out on Friday. But I might just edit that bit out now because we have the answer that we need. So, yeah, that was the questions that I asked. And, yeah, I'm happy to get an answer. The speculation, we can put that to rest now. We know exactly what we are dealing with. So it does mean I will end up editing the site. And actually, I've got a lot of editing to do because there's lots of cool arts and things shown to us here. So, yeah, there we are. That is that. I just also want to take a moment to appreciate some more of the art. So this Aphrodite portrait looks so much more realistic now. Like, that very much feels like a painting or something that you would actually see of someone. You compare it to Yanlu Wang. Now, I know he doesn't have any eyes, but there is quite a clear contrast or difference to me here. This feels very much complete and looks absolutely stunning. And then the Fisher King. So he's still work in progress. The last time we saw him, it said at the top here, you'll find out more about him in a future video. Haven't had that video yet, unfortunately. But I love his Idol Breaker. And we've got what would presume to be the Holy Grail as part of his idol stance. So Fisher King was known to be a protector of it. There you go. Holding up aloft to the heavens, and he's got his harpoon as well in his hand, looking really, really cool. He's cool. Some sort of like Aladdin type figure. Now, in our recent CC leaks, we did actually get a bunch of Eka with Sargon. Probably that could be Shablugao. Shablugao is slave to the king. So possibly that could be him in game as a common uncommon. And that looks like the Spartan. Now, we've not seen so much of them since they first got the concept dropped to us. They are going to get benefit if they are paired with Leonidas. Again, we don't know what that is. One would imagine some sort of defense increase, creating that famous shield wall at Thermopylae. But yeah, cool stuff. Hey, our first look at Asag. He looks cool. Grotesque golem. Yeah, that sort of lava sort of coming out from behind him is amazing. Now, I can't remember which god it was. Maybe it was Ninurta, or that might be the name of her weapon. Defeated this guy in sort of Sumerian Mesopotamia myth. Initially, I thought he was in Asgard as a Nilfheim or fire giant. And then I actually read up on Asag, and it turns out I was so wrong. But he looks cool. Hey, this one's new. I said Maid Marian was my guess. No, it's Isolde, Queen of Cornwall. Order, Invoker. But do you know what? I will give you a very quick lowdown now. Okay, so looking at it then, Legend of Tristan and Isolde tells a tragic story of a forbidden love affair between Tristan, a Cornish knight, and Isolde, the wife of his uncle, King Mark of Cornwall. It's a bit weird. Their love ignited by a love potion accidentally ingested during their journey to Cornwall. The affair leads to Tristan's banishment and eventual death, with Isolde later dying of grief. So she is paired with Tristan, or Tristane of Tortured Heart. We have seen him already in the game, and it does say there is an Arthurian context. It's often associated in Arthurian legends, particularly the love triangle of Lancelot, Guinevere, and King Arthur. There you go. Now, this is cool. Shinigami is a rare. I guessed he might be a rare on the site, but let's just take a moment, right, to appreciate this scythe. Look at that. It's wicked. The Reaper has come. Would not want to get smacked over the head with that. That looks wicked. Then we get to see Maria Marevna, or as in Fateless Faction I made, this is Susie. She is a Slayer and an Order hero. She's part of the Virage faction, obviously not Olympus, so ignore the background with her sphere. Very much Slavic sort of design and call-outs here. I did like that. Although I could have sworn when we first saw her, she was depicted as a legendary. I don't know why I think that. I'd have to go back to when Hell was first spoiled. I think that was from the Art Attack way before Christmas. But yeah, Maria Marevna is now a rare, so I can at least update on the site. Looking sweet. So now we're getting into some of the other really interesting stuff, right? He's going through some just what seems to be very casual gameplay, but we're seeing some things that we have not seen before. Now, Imhotep is here. We have seen Imhotep's abilities, what they look like in CC leaks, I think it was. Not for April, but for March. But we had no concept on what they did. Now, I suggested he might be an Invoker. It turns out that was right. But have a look at this. So he's placing reflect damage. Now, Simon is very conveniently blocking the entire damn thing. But he's bringing that fist down. It's that smack that we saw from the auto attack. Not from the auto attack, from the sort of skill one, I guess you can call it. And he's placing reflect damage. So that is really cool to see. Now, he definitely has to place it on Brunhild and Set, who look pretty healthy, so you might imagine that it's being placed on the ally with the lowest HP, or lowest percentage HP, to give him a bit of survivability. Then we have Ra here, using his core ability. Now, we've not seen this yet. Oh, that's cool. We've only seen the ultimate so far. Like, conjures up fire. I love how it sort of swirls around his hand as he's holding it aloft. Interesting. So it's hard to tell whether it's an AoE or whether it's like two characters, one targeted, one at random. It's always hard to tell when they don't have a full team, but that looks really cool. And then the other thing, this is the other thing that made me sort of look. So we're up against Osiris and Imhotep again over here. Or Brunhild, rather, is using her ultimate, because we know that we can use those at any time. And she's placing Radiance too. Now, we want to just remember this moving forward, all right? Radiance 2 is what she is placing on everyone. I'm going to screenshot that just for the sake of the site. But this is what I thought was interesting. Now, the enemy Imhotep is going to be using the core ability, where it looks like he was fisting himself, perhaps, last time it was cast. But he's now casting it on what looks like Brynhild, so perhaps it isn't a self-cast, but here is the thing. We've got like a tree buff here, and it says Stalwart. Now, Stalwart is not a buff that we've seen before. So I thought that was particularly interesting, and again, I'm going to take a screenshot for the sake of the site. Now, I think this is going to be like a strengthen effect, the different, sort of the opposite end to vulnerability, which we saw King Tut have. So I reckon this is going to reduce all damage by a certain amount of percentage, and if you stack it with things like increased defense, you will just become even more tanky. That's the sort of what I get from Stalwart. And something, again, that just builds out Imhotep's kit. So I will put what information we have, again, on the site for everyone to see. But yeah, very interesting. All right, and then here's the last thing. Right? So remember we had Radiance put on the team earlier, right? Watch this. So Osiris does his ult, and then we see him take Radiance damage here. So, which is weird because we've already got reflect damage in the game. We've seen Imhotep place it already, right? But then we've got, he hits him and he takes damage back. So it's almost like a reflect damage effect, Radiance. At least that's what it seems to be. But it just seems odd that you'd have two in the game, reflect damage and Radiance as reflect damage. So something we are going to have to sort of wrap our heads around on this one a little bit. And I'll certainly try and think about it over the coming days. That we've got another reflect damage or something, it appears, of that nature here. So then going back to a conversation that we had earlier, we now know that Svaga is no longer in the game, and we can see the banner has been removed here. We know that the Jade name was potentially changing, and we can see that here. So it now says Tian, or might be Shan, not entirely sure. Going across to Wikipedia, Shan is this symbol. Represents a multifaceted concept. It can signify physical sky, supreme deity, the natural order of the universe, and even a paradisiacal afterlife. Christ, that's a mouthful. But it can mean, any number of these things, and it is one of the oldest Chinese terms for heaven and a key concept in Chinese mythology. So there we go. The Tian is now the Jade Empire. So that is something, again, that I will need to change. God, I've got a lot to do. So here's something we didn't see before, probably because it didn't land or proc, but Ra naturally has some sort of HP burn that he places that I thought was pretty cool. We've not seen that yet, and now we have. So yeah, got some debuffs to him to HP burn. And Osiris is placing Curse 2 as well in his ultimate. It's hard to see, but it does pop up here, Curse 2. So it seems like a fairly common thing amongst the sort of Aru faction, and I love that. I hope that all the factions have some sort of debuff or something that sort of feels special to them. Like maybe with Asgard it would be chill or frost chill, frozen, that kind of thing. Curse 2 for the Aru. I don't know. Maybe, say, for the Omega Khan, maybe something to do with, like, bugs, because it's very jungle-based, that kind of thing. Maybe sweating, overheating, bleed, leeches, all that kind of stuff. I hope that they keep this moving forward, because I think it's just a nice flavour win, personally. So that is it for today. So hope you found this interesting. Take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.